Hey guys, welcome to Jody Queen Fishing. Here in the kayak cave, just back from Susquehanna River, where I fished the Hobie BOS. And I usually try to do a recap of my tournaments. I just started that something new, and what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to show you the baits that I used and talk a little bit about how I used them. And unfortunately, I had a slight mishap on the river and I dunked my camera, so I lost a lot of that footage, but I do have some pre-fishing footage for you, and we'll try to break down how I won that tournament, and hopefully you'll learn something out of this. Now, anything that I tell you is how I do it. Experiment with what I tell you. Go do your own thing. You might find something that I don't know about. I'm constantly learning it in this fishing game, so everybody has their own style. So feel free to branch out, extrapolate a little bit on what I'm telling you, because we never stop learning. So yeah. So if you got a few minutes, eyeball this this new installation from Jody Queen Fishing, and maybe we can all learn something. They won't stop. That's a good fish right there. We're feeding. I think I got a pattern. I think I'm through in this area, so yeah, man. Nice fish. So I'm going to show you a little bit about the rig I'm using. I've got a Z-Man jig head. Let's see if I can get this where you can see it. So I'm using a Z-Man shaky heads with a bang stick in a mud bug color. I've caught 2 or 3 on this, but that last one was a 19.5, so that tells me they're hitting it. Okay guys, now I had a backup pattern at the Susquehanna, and that pattern was a bang sticks. Now this is the green pumpkin. The color that I was using up there was called a mud bug. Also, this is all by Z-Man, and I was using the Z-Man shaky heads in a 1/4 ounce. And usually when I thread these on, I like to use a little bit of glue at the top of the head there. That'll help hold it. But I usually don't have a big problem with them holding on those heads without the bait slipping down. So that was what my secondary pattern was, and I was throwing around logs and a lot of slack water areas, and it was taking so much time to find the fish in those areas that on by day 2, I just totally abandoned that secondary pattern and just I threw the chatterbait all day long, and I concentrated on the weed beds. There's a lot of willow grass in that area up there. There's a lot of eel grass in some areas around the grass beds. And, you know, anywhere I found grass, and of course, you know, chatterbaits and grass, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. But that's where I concentrated on them. And it worked out well. Current seams were another big factor. There was a lot of fish in the current seams that were created by those grass beds. So sometimes, you know, going into the grass bed, I would come in below and I would fish the current seams as I came in, and I'd come in low and I'd fish both sides of the current seams of the grass bed, and then I would move up, you know, and hit the other side, hit the tip. Now, a lot of times those fish were setting up on the tips of those grass beds, so you want to make sure you hit the heads of those. The thing about smallmouth, when you're in a moving water situation, the bigger fish, even if it's not the bigger fish, a lot of times the most aggressive fish will set up in the push water in front of the obstruction that you're fishing, any kind of all the cover or structure that you're fishing. They're just, you know, the aggressive fish are going to try to get the bait first. You know, they're hungrier than the other fish or whatever. Yeah, make sure you fish the upstream areas of those obstructions, like if you come to ledges, shoals especially. I've dropped down through shoals and turned and thrown back up across the shoal and pulled back to me. A lot of times they're laying in that push water. What I'm referring to as push water is the water that is in front of your cover or your structure that you're fishing. So that's the push water. It hits that object first, and then yeah, the hungrier, bigger smallmouth usually will set up, you know, in those areas. So I've got two baits that are working for me right now. That's pretty good. That's what I wanted. I wanted something that I can, you know, search the current seams with, and something I can slow down and fish the treetops and, you know, some of the bank wood and stuff like that with. The fish are a little bit spread out because the water's up a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. They'll pull up on, I caught that last fish off of a tree that's down in the water, just to lay down. He was laying right off the tip in the current. So it's looking pretty good if the water levels stay the same, and we'll have a good chance in this spot come tournament day. So. Yeah, baby. And he was laying right where he was supposed to be. That's an 18-incher right there. We get 5 of those on tournament day. We got it made. Okay, so my bait selection for the Susky was a Z-Man jackhammer in the bluegill color. It has a gold blade, has some green in the skirt, has a little bit of orange on the bottom. This is a 1/2 ounce. Sometimes I use a 3/8 ounce, but the 1/2 ounce actually worked really well with the amount of current that I was throwing in. It got it down a little deeper when I wanted to, and I could still run it up high when I wanted to. Now, I was tipping it with a Z-Man minnows and a gold rush. Now that gold flake on the bottom of that really kind of added to the flash of the blade, and the black back on that bait, you know, gave it a nice silhouette, made it a little easier to see. I've got one out of the pack here I'm going to show you. There you go. You see that nice gold flake in the bottom of it and a real dark back. Okay guys, so we have the minnows trailer, the bluegill, 1/2 ounce, jackhammer chatterbait. We have the jig heads, the shaky heads, and we have, those are also 1/4 ounce, and the bang sticks. Those are my baits for this tournament. As you can see, it turned out really well for me. I was very fortunate to get on those patterns early in the morning on day one, and they just really worked out for me. And I hope, you know, this has helped you understand a little bit of how to fish the rivers with these baits. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'll try to get back with you. It might take a little while, a day or two sometimes, but I always try to get back with anybody who has any questions at all. So get out there and have fun. Thanks for subscribing. Take somebody fishing. I mean, introduce them to the sport. Not everybody tournament fishes, but it's a great sport just to get out and take your family out. Always be safe. Wear your life jacket. I can't stress that enough. Always wear your life jacket. And I'll see you at the next tournament. Ooh, I missed my smallie fishing.